Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make this. So that is my remake of Turn Off the Lights by Chris Lake. I've always loved this song. It's not new at all, but I like the song a lot. It has a really cool deep bass to it. So let's get right into how I remade it. As always, the Serum presets and the MIDI files will be linked down below. So first of all, that vocal chop doesn't sound that great because I just sampled a little section of the original song and kind of chopped it up like the original vocal chop. So I'm just going to mute that for now so you can hear everything else that's going on. So I guess I'll start it off with how I remade these chords. Here's what the chords sound like by themselves. So in Serum, I remade these with a saw wave. So in oscillator A, 2 octaves down, I have a saw wave. It looks like that normally, but I put this sync feature on, which if you go on the drop-down menu, go to sync, no window. So normally it would sound like this, like too deep of an octave. So to bring it up an octave, but still keep some of the depth and character, I use this sync feature. So if you move the sync feature over so there's exactly 2 saw waves in there, it moves it up an octave. Like if I did it 4 times, it would move it up 2 octaves. So I just kept it there, and instead of just moving this up an octave and moving this back down, I feel like moving it down an octave and using this sync feature just gives it a cool character that it otherwise wouldn't have. So anyway, this oscillator is 15 voices of unison, but there's absolutely no detune. So I've kept the detune all the way down. And another thing I'm doing is over in the global tab, I'm putting the width way down. So usually it's at 100, but I'm keeping it down to 10. So it's mostly right in the middle of the mix with just a little bit of width. Other than that, I just have this envelope that's modulating the volume of the sound. So it's not connected to a filter or anything, it's only connected to the volume. So I've got a little bit of attack here and some release on there as well. So over in the effects section, I just have some downsample distortion on there, which is just basically bit crusher. Then I have a compressor. And then I have a filter, which isn't filtering anything at all really, it's just adding a little bit of drive at 20% drive. So without these effects, then with them. Then for external processing, I just have a little bit of OTT on there, about 10%, and then I have some EQ, just kind of shaping the sound a little bit. So that's it for that chord sound. Now let's move on to this deep bass sound. Here's what the deep bass sounds like by itself. So this bass sound is super simple, but it sounds really cool for deep house and tech house tracks. So it's just a saw wave right in the middle of the mix, and I'm not doing anything with the filter here in the main oscillator tab, but in the effects section I am adding a filter. So first I'm compressing it. Then I'm adding a lot of tube distortion on there to fatten it up. And then because distortion adds unwanted higher frequencies, that's why I'm using this filter instead of the other one on the main oscillator page. That way I can dial in exactly where I want the filter to cut off those higher frequencies. So that bass is kind of doing this call and response thing with this 808 type sound. So here's what they sound like back to back. And this sample is just an 808 I got off Splice. If you want to know the exact 808, it's this one right here. BQ 808 Blaster from this kit, Drum Kit Volume 1 by Fuse 808. So anyway, I just sampled that 808 in Logic Sampler so I could get the right notes in there. And I also shortened the decay time, so it's a little shorter than normal too. So it sounds kind of like a punchy, low tom. I'll go ahead and solo some of the drums so you can hear those. So that snare is really just like a trap snare. I just have 2 layers in there. That layer and that layer. So those 2 layers together make a pretty fat, tight snare. You can get snares like that in any popular trap or hip hop pack. Other than that though, it's a pretty simple 4 on the floor drum beat with just some rim shots and some other random effects put in there. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this one. I'll play the full thing again at the end of the video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify below. And other than that, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.